All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the holiday program for this year. Today I want to go over some light housekeeping just because excuse me, a couple of you guys have not been, I'm like choking on my gum, have not been in classes before. Those of you that have been in classes before, you kind of know the layout of how the group goes, right? So to start with, I want to welcome everybody that is brave enough to join us. We have a couple of new faces and new ladies. You can attest to the gals that have been in the holiday program before. I'm told that it can be a game changer for the holiday season. Like when we bring a very good collective energy, all of us together, and it's a safe space where you can talk about the communications from your kids. We'll bring the kids in. So yeah, I'm excited this year. I tried, if you'll notice where the schedule is, I tried to keep most of our stuff on Sundays and Mondays. That way it wasn't like you guys had to pop in Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know what I mean? I downsized a little bit because I know that a couple of the years I got overzealous to bring as much as I could. And it was like, we can't do anything else for the whole holiday season because it was so busy. So make sure that you go in and mark those dates on your calendar. I'm still waiting to hear from Dave G when he wants to do his, so that will be a pop-up. Miss Christine Williams has recently become breathwork certified as well, so she may want to do a pop-up. You know, of course, like clockwork, right? Here come the dogs, here come the hounds. Um, so there'll be some pop-ups like that. I'm really excited. I haven't heard back from Kelly. Kelly is for sure coming. Um, Fingers crossed, good energy. When Kelly scheduled her dates with me and I spoke to her, she said that she was going to see if um, James Van Prague wanted to pop in with her again this year. Like, was that last year or year before last that
Year
he said?
before. Year
So
before.
good vibes there. I hope that he does. He may or may not. I don't even know, so we'll just wait and see. So that's always kind of fun. Um,
And
we've got
if he did, it would be such a huge thing for all of us because basically, with a group as small as we have this year, pretty much everybody would get a reading. And
yeah,
James and Kelly, James is magnificent and Kelly is fabulous, and the two of them together, the readings they gave us year before last were just phenomenal.
yeah, they were great. So make sure you mark your calendars. Any pop-ups that happen, I'll just post the day of, or like probably not the day of, obviously, a couple days before. Um, and if there's anything that you guys specialize in, if say like Christine, the work she's doing, if there's something you want to bring to the group and do a pop-up, by all means, hit me up. And it's a great place to play with it. I know Patricia did her spirit art with us one year, which was really fun. So anything you guys want to bring to the table too, Kathy and I are open, we're flexible. Um, so I'm trying to think. I will always post the Zoom link the day of, just like I did today, probably about an hour before. Because I'm not very techy, Debbie and Lauren, Nikki is not very techy, so I don't ever use the same Zoom link. I set a different Zoom link every time because that is how I know how to do it. And Kathy's like, Nikki, we could like, I can teach you how to do it. And I'm like, nope, I'm not going to fix what's not broken. I'm just going to do it the way that I know how to do it. So it'll always be posted. Kathy is going to download all the recordings and do the private YouTube channel again. So everything that goes on in group, you will have access to. It's for you guys only, your eyes only. So if a coaching session, if there are things that are said or you get a reading and you don't quite remember it, then I'm going to let Peggy in real quick. Then you
I've already
have
admitted
that.
her.
Okay. Then you have that permanently to go back and rewatch. So that's a really good thing. Also, especially you new gals, we're extremely lax here. We're very down to earth. Like if you have to pop off a Zoom early, not a big deal. If you have to miss one, not a big deal. You'll have the rewatch. If you need to come in late, not a big deal. I always for Debbie and Lauren, you two are new with me. Debbie, you've done one class, I know, but Lauren, just so you know, and Bernie may have told you, but I always do my disclaimer before class for the new people. I cuss like a sailor sometimes. I am going to chew my Nicorette gum during this. And I'm just who I am. So, you guys can have cocktails, you can vape. My dogs are going to run through. My daughter will probably walk through. Like, as far as I'm concerned, we're basically all just sitting in a living room together, hanging out. So feel free to do what you need to do. We've had some people, they'll get up, except during the medium readings. Like those are the important ones to try to be still in. But like while coaching or whatever is going on, if you need to listen in and participate while you're doing dishes or folding laundry, just anything goes, really, anything goes. So, with that being said, here's what we'll do. We will be putting stuff up in the thread in the group, right? And so you want to be sure to read that information too and engage in those posts, because that's where you're going to be able to go back and have a quick look. Like when I post about like, what are you doing to bring your child in for Thanksgiving? What are you doing to honor them? How are you bringing their presence in? It's great because if Becky says, well, we're doing this, and you were wondering what to do, you can get all of these different ideas of what other people are doing as well. So that works really neat that way. Peggy's still having problems.
Yeah, she's spinning. I'm messaging her now to try to get some information to see if I can get her in. Keep going.
Okay. So with that being said, what I want to do today, we're just going to go through and we're going to do introductions so you guys can all get to know each other. And we're just going to touch base on how you're feeling about Thanksgiving coming up. Tomorrow we do have, I believe we have Reiki with Stacy tomorrow, I think is what we're doing. So, those will be the two things we meet this week before actual Thanksgiving. So I want to unpack and see where you guys are at emotionally with the first holiday coming up. I consider, I guess, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the two big ones. So we'll see where everybody's at. We'll see if anybody needs shifted. And we can share, different stuff about what you do have planned to bring in your kiddos. So we'll start with introductions first. Obviously, I'm Nikki. Leaf is my son. Leaf left body, as most of you know, at 16. I believe September was 7 years. I wanted to die, obviously. And so I had to find a way to heal, because it was either I had to find, I credit it to that I'm a big emotional baby. And because I'm a big emotional baby, I could not handle the sheer intense pain of it. So I either had to find a way through it, or, hope that I was going to die, or hope that if I tried to, that they would let me in, which, we know that wouldn't work. So, Kathy and I have walked this walk together. A lot of you see what I put out there, but you didn't see my actual, like, in-depth when I was shattered healing. Kathy did witness that. We walked really hand in hand, took a lot of classes together, very supportive of each other, and then a friendship formed. And we know now, of course, that was meant to happen that way. And even though we have the same last name, apparently, where it was meant to be. That's what we look at it as. We started this second group, Healing Warrior Parents. God, I don't even know how long it's been now.
It's been a good 6 years. We started it in our first year. So yeah, we're 6 years in.
And we wanted it to be a place where you can come and nobody's going to tell you that this never gets better, because it does. It does get better, especially when you have when you learn to be aware of your kids, right? Because where I'm at now, where Kathy's at now, like we don't even consider Leaf and Sophie dead. Like they're not dead. They're more alive than we are. And so we just like the grief is not a thing. So 99% of the time, um, I've had a full paradigm shift for the most part. There she is.
I
You
mean,
made it. Woohoo!
do it on my tablet because my phone obviously is not very smart. Like,
So
ah,
that, that's my story in a nutshell. I can tell you that like it, even though I speak about it in general terms, it was not easy. Like there were times that I took to the bed. I took to the bed, and when I wasn't screaming and crying, um, you know, I were sleeping, I was studying. I was doing research. I was studying, everything from eh, how to connect to somatic healing with the body. I was studying energy. I dabbled in like quantum physics just to understand the whole energetic part. Um, just anything and everything I could get my hands on. I was totally, quite honestly, I was totally obsessed with it, for probably about 2 years until I really got a good footing on my truth, right? So having your truth is step one. Knowing your truth is step one. We say you go from hope to belief to knowing. And when you get into your full knowing, that's when the grief really starts to dissipate, to be honest with you. Because then you've reprogrammed your brain to the knowing that they're not dead and gone. They're just different. We say they're invisible with superpowers, you know? So um, that's my story. I'll just call your names and you can introduce where you're at. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida now. Moved here 5 years ago because my dead kid told me to. So I packed the car with some dogs and my boyfriend and a couple $1,000, and we literally drove to Florida and moved here because Leaf told me to. Yes, everybody thought I was crazy. But so I'm originally from Southwest Missouri. Um, Now I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. Leaf is very loud, as most of you know. He really uh likes to lay it on Christine and Kathy. Like Christine is his new project too. So she doesn't get to like be lazy at all, because then he'll start inundating her with sloths. So, it's not been easy, but here's what I want to offer you guys. It does get easier, and it's okay to be okay. All right. People get sideways a little bit when I say that, because there's a part of us that wants to hold on to the grief because society perpetuates that grief equals love, right? Grief is not what equals love, guys. You have your love. Your love is there. It's always there. It's always connected. It's energetic. It's a vibration, right? The grief is the byproduct of the physical absence, right? So we learn to move through those pieces. Okay. So that's who I am. Feel free to ask me any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Some of y'all are like, Nikki, we've been in 35 classes with you. We know this story. So that's who I am. So we'll just start with intros. Let's see. Becky, do you want to go? Kathy, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll
Kathy's
go,
the
but
co-leader.
I'll go. And real quick, Kim Woodruff is requesting entry to the group online. Did
Yes.
she join so we can get her in here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you do that while I give my intro real quick, please?
I absolutely can.
Thank you. Um, for y'all that know me, I'm Kathy. For y'all that don't know me, you might not like me because I'm extra, extra, extra.
She's a little extra.
Yeah, I am. My only child, Sophie, crossed the veil in February of 2017 of acute fentanyl intoxication. She was experimenting with drugs, interestingly enough, in a quest for spiritual enlightenment. Um, much of her life, my husband, Michael, who is now also across the veil with her because he dropped dead on our couch last September. Um, he had been studying Abraham, the Abraham lectures, Esther and Jerry Hicks, who do the Abraham lectures, Cryon. I don't know if you guys have heard of Cryon. And Michael was very, very connected to Saint Germain. And Sophie began to feel this connection with Saint Germain. So she was questing for spiritual enlightenment, and she did heroin and meth. Apparently, that this is what we've been told, that she was speedballing heroin and meth the night she died. It was laced with fentanyl, and she was gone in an instant because she was 100 pounds soaking wet with her combat boots on, and she never stood a chance. And the person that she was with called an ambulance, went to the emergency room, and then after the emergency room called me and I wanted to talk to that person on the phone, they jetted from the emergency room and left my daughter there. So I initially was super duper obsessed with a need to know that Sophie was okay, that she still loved me, that she knew how much I loved her, literally to the point that I would speak to her looking skyward every night when I took my dog outside. Sophie, where are you? Please let me know you're okay. About 5 months in, between 5 and 6 months in, I had my first medium reading, and it was very spontaneous, a free reading that was offered in a group that Nikki and I had initially started in. I had never even heard of this medium until literally she posted in the group. Anyone who's never had a reading before, message me now. If you can get on Skype, we'll do a free reading. So I had a free reading with this woman. And I was 150% sure instantly that she was in connection with Sophie, because this person told me things that she could never have known, even if she had researched me on and offline for 10 years, because they were literally only things that I had shared with my husband. And some of them were not even things that had been shared with Sophie because she was a child. So once I got that first connection, I was obviously hungry for more. And that really launched my intent studies into the afterlife. And I had absorbed all these other things through my husband, who had and I used to give him a hard time for putting everything on speakerphone, and now I do the same thing. But like, he would play the Abraham lectures on our TV and stream them, and he always had these things playing in the house or in the car. And so I absorbed all these things through osmosis, literally. And once I started connecting with Sophie, the pieces fell into place for me really quickly. And I integrated a lot of things. It was almost like that little cube in the Hellraiser movies where it, turns and everything just zaps into place. The actual connection part took me a little bit longer because I spent 2 years beating myself up, at least 2 years beating myself up because I cannot meditate. Meditation and me, we don't get along. It got to the point where I would literally cry to Nikki, I'm never ever going to have this great connection because I can't meditate. And finally, Sophie saw fit to put me out of my misery and tell me through 3 different mediums in 3 different readings, Mom, meditation is not your thing. Try something different. So if any of you who are new to the arena have trouble meditating, don't believe for even 1 second that that's going to hamstring your connection, because it won't. I am living proof of that. Sophie and I progressed really quickly once I gave up on the meditation block. we progressed really quickly to telepathy. And I have it now with Michael, my husband, as well. I just went to a psychic festival here in Cincinnati yesterday, and in a gallery reading with there were between 200 and 300 people in the gallery reading, and I asked Michael as I sat down in my chair in the gallery reading, I was like, oh Michael, please come through, come through. He was the first person who came through. And I knew Sophie wouldn't, because she kind of steps back unless she's really got a lot to say, because we have such an everyday connection. But Michael came through and he showed off a little bit, and it was really cool. It was fun. And I help Nikki when and where I can. I do work full time still. I went back to work like a week after Sophie died, or passed, transitioned, whatever you want to say. I say died, even though I know she's not dead. I still use the language because that's really the language that most normals understand.
Well, and I
Um,
think now, like for me now, Kathy, it's like dead doesn't like it. We say it, but it's like very it's flippant to
Right,
us
it's really
now.
flippant, and we
Yeah.
we tease and say that we're part of the dead kid club, and I'm like, oh, and and literally, Nikki will tell y'all, literally the night my husband died, as I'm outside because they wouldn't let me back in the house, while we were waiting for the coroner. I'm outside talking to Nikki, and I say to her, well, look at me now. I have a dead kid card and a dead husband card. Woo! You know, and the cops who came, the paramedics and the police who came the night Michael transitioned, they were really a little bit taken aback by me, because I wasn't hysterical and I wasn't screaming and crying and oh my god, my husband's dead. I was like, okay, I know where he is and he's with Sophie, and this isn't my first rodeo, and I'm okay. And that's not to say that there's not grief, and I haven't been really active in the group for a few months because I've been down in it dealing with the not so much the grief but the attendant things that came with my husband transitioning, not having somebody to mow the lawn when the lawn was always mowed, and like the cat box fairy came every day while I was at work and cleaned the cat box, and Kathy never had to worry about all those things. And the loneliness, the coming home to a completely empty house has been a really, really bitter pill for me to swallow. So I am looking as forward to the holiday program this year as many of you guys are, because this isn't going to be my first holiday without Michael, but in a way it is, because last year I was still kind of shell shocked. He died in September and the holidays were there in December, and I just kind of shut my eyes and didn't think about the fact that my husband was gone. So this really feels like the first holiday without him, even though it's not.
That makes sense.
And
And
I do the F bombs a lot too, because that's like my very favorite, most ever expletive.
well, yeah, because like it's a word that literally can be used in any way, shape, or form. Um, Something I want to point out too, guys, is something to remember as we move through the holidays and as you move through your journey. Connection is a huge piece of healing. It's not the only piece to healing, though. There's a lot more that goes into it. I do have a background as a behavior modification specialist. And so I'm well versed in like neurolinguistic programming, cognitive behavior foundations. You have to also like, and Kathy and I don't get medium readings a lot anymore, really, not like we did in the beginning, but connection is a huge piece of your healing, because that new daily relationship that you establish and maintain with your child is obviously hugely important. But there's also other pieces to healing too. Like it truly is mind, body, and spirit. You have to retrain your brain, working with the neuroplasticity to what your truth is. You have to go inward and learn self-awareness, and accountability, so that you can have the awareness of your child's energy and their spirit. So a lot of people get hung up because they'll get the connection piece, but they're still really in grief because they're not working with the mind or the body on it. So really you want to work with mind, body, and spirit. Sorry, Kathy, I just thought I would throw that in there. So for those of you that are still in the grieving process and you're still learning to connect, just know that there are other pieces that you also need to be working on. And we're going to put a lot of that, there'll be a lot of information about that kind of stuff within the group. Okay.
And there really will come a day where you'll, if you continue on the healing path and you keep working with all those other layers and peeling it back like the onion in Shrek or whatever, you'll get to a point where you'll look back and you'll go, damn, that grief part was really easy compared to this shit. I want to go back to the grief part. I know how
Yeah.
to deal with that.
Yeah, the shadow work, turning the corner into the self work, that it's a doozy. It's a doozy. So, all right. So, Becky, do you want to go next? Or are you off right now?
I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I've got cats and dogs and kids too, so we're making it work. I am Becky, and my son Parker is here with me in spirit for the class. He transitioned about 2.5 years ago. This will be my third holiday season, and day before his 11th birthday, he had an AVM or an aneurysm in his brain that ruptured that we did not know he had. It all was very sudden, but even at the hospital, I remember sitting outside with my husband and we both looked at each other and said, this was part of the path. This happened for a reason and we don't know it, but we have to trust it and go with it. Just like Nikki was saying, I broke down, but even people would come to visit with food and show up and they'd look at me and I'd be like, I can't go against the plans. My boxing gloves will not, no matter how hard I fight, nothing can change this. It was meant to be. So I had a knowing very early on, even before all of this. But I also was down in it, not wanting to be here anymore. But I also have a daughter that I was here still to take care of. And I let the grief take over. And then I said, I refuse to let this be a life sentence. And I can't live like this for the rest of my life. And I actually found the board through another board with more of the pain feeding and came here and took classes. And that's how I found this group and changed everything. So Parker likes to communicate with us fairly often. He has his own ways of doing it. I am not a meditator either. Yeah, it just doesn't happen. But yeah, so I'm excited to be here. There's been a lot of family drama going on this past year in our extended family. Things have been low for the last couple months, but just last week, I even kind of felt a shift as I said, no, I'm getting excited about Christmas. And Parker's favorite holiday is Christmas. And I am bringing him in and I'm bringing this in and we're making the shift. So doing good over here.
Perfect. Perfect. And that's a testament of the path, you guys. And you all know, a lot of you have been working on this for a while and half the battle is being able to admit to yourself that it is getting easier and it is getting better, right? So those are hard words to utter the first time you say them, but it's possible. So awesome. I'm glad you're here with us, Beck. Debbie, do you want to go next?
Of course. Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm originally from Indonesia. I moved here to the US in 2016, and I left all my kids. I never see them for 4 years. I tried to visit and meet up with them. In 2019, we planned to meet up in Japan, but then COVID hits, and we never be able to do it. And Matthew begged to meet up in the middle. He suggests a couple times, but we couldn't afford it that time, which I regretted. I know he missed me so much. And there's a lot going on because of my divorce and everything that led Matthew into like very sad soul depression. And on his last moment, I just found out after he transitioned that he got into a lot into drinking. And that night when the accident happened, I talked to him in the phone, and he looked like really tired. He has like cold and flu, and he said, "I was going home, Mom. I'll call you when I'm home." I thought he's gonna go to sleep, but it turns out at midnight his friend called him to went out, and then they hang out in the bar and they drink, and then I think Matthew was drunk when he's on the way home, and he has the accident, which is really fatal. I was hoping that he just have very bad injury and he can still survive when they called me, because they didn't tell me that he dead on the spot. Nobody told me after so many hours after that. I was still helping help. Oh, it's okay if he's just paralyzed or bad injury. I'll take care of him. I didn't know that it's gonna be gone already. So I went home to my country after 2.5 days. He passed away, and they decided to close the casket because his injury is really bad. So I didn't get a chance even to see him the last time. I took it as a punishment from God for leaving my kid, and I didn't even get a chance to see him. But now that I think about it, maybe it's the best thing that happened to me.
Yeah, I think
And
it was
then,
probably a gift instead of a
yes,
punishment.
yes. And then
Yeah.
through the reading that I did with the medium last time, Matthew said, "That's the best for you, Mom, because if you saw me, you might not be in the condition right now." Which
Right.
I think I will be just very devastated, because I'm just like you, Nikki. When I read your post about your journey, I feel like, oh, I was just like her. I feel like I like you. I feel like I want to die. I just give up. And then I start to feel really bad depression. I couldn't breathe, and I have like constant headache. It's like I just gave up. I even shout to God, "God, I couldn't take this anymore. Help me." And then there's a voice in my head and say, "You better stop, otherwise, you're gonna be like having a stroke or something." And I said, "Oh, I couldn't help that because I still have my other son
Mhm.
that I have to taking care of." That's what kind of helped me stay sane, even though I
Right.
want to give up every time. And I thought about some crazy stuff like crashing into the truck or something so I can meet
Yeah.
Matthew.
It's totally
Yeah,
normal.
yeah,
It's totally
yeah.
normal.
So, but I think I'm a tough person. I think I'm kind of warrior inside. I don't even show that I cry on that Matthew ceremony. I even gave my speech on that ceremony, which I was surprised I could do that. But I think that's what Matthew want me to do. I was
Yeah.
think that Matthew I want Matthew to be proud of me.
I think
And
he is proud of you, even now,
yeah,
especially for walking into healing.
yeah.
Have you established your connection with him yet, Debbie? Like to be able to
Yes.
communicate? You have?
I tried to start it after since our first meeting. I was gonna get a slap on my face when you told me you can choose to grieve or you can choose to start connection, and it's like wake me up. Oh yeah, that's correct. Well, didn't I think about it before? So I tried to like start talking to Matthew because I know I have this intuition in me. I think I born like into like intuitive, but I never like nurture it because I cannot
Right.
deny it because I'm scared, because I've been seeing dark soul before and I don't want to see them. So
Well, if you're going to learn how to surround and protect like we did in
right,
the last class, and like I don't even worry about like lower energy, spirit, because I know I'm surrounded and protected.
right,
So like a lot of people will say, "Oh, but you shouldn't dabble in the occult or whatever." I'm like, "I'm not dabbling in the occult. I'm connecting to spirit that's a high vibration spirit, and I know and I trust my team and my source and the archangels who I work with,
right.
and they surround and protect me." So if you surround and protect, Debbie, then just know that you're not going to be subjected to um, anything lower vibrating. I'm glad that you're here with us. I think this is going to be great for you. You'll hear a lot of these ladies can attest to healing is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And it's, It's about letting those tears fall when they need to and being open to the shifts, right? Like you said, you read the one post and listened in the last class when I said, here's the deal. You can sit down and sit in the missing of them, or you can sit down and get a divination tool out, have a medium reading, meditate for those of you that can meditate, meet them in a guided meditation. So it's always going to be a choice. Absolutely. So I'm glad that you're here with us and that he's here with us.
Yeah. And I've
Yeah.
been starting back into my meditation and I'm obsessed with it. I'm listening to podcasts, try to meditate. And then I feel like hearing Matthews on my head. And then I feel like so close to him. He's been talking to me, respond to me. But then last Thursday, I feel like he's away. Last week I said, Matthew, did you visit your grandpa because he's sick and he cannot walk? And say, yes, mom. In fact, I was going to pick him up. And this morning, I got a call that he passed away.
So
Yeah.
the thing about that is I love what you just said, because a lot of times this brings up stuff like a lot of times when we're connected and then their energy, it feels far away at another point and you're like, oh my God, I lost them
Yeah,
again. Where
yeah.
did you go? Where did
I
you
was
go?
kind of worried. Yeah.
Mm. So and I love that you were open and you heard him. You already have your telepathic link. So a next step for you, Debbie, is going to be to start understanding and retraining your brain to the fact that if he was dead and gone, you wouldn't be able to hear him. He literally told you, I'm going to pick up grandpa, So yeah, I think that that's great. I think that's great. So, and everybody can have that telepathic link, everybody has spirit inside of them. We have spirit and ego inside of these bodies. And like Debbie said, most of us just haven't been taught to nurture the spiritual part of ourselves. When we nurture that within our healing and it starts to take the lead, then that's where your connection starts getting really, really strong and really, really profound. So awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
Miss Lynn, hello. I haven't seen your face in ages.
Hello. Yeah, it's been a long time, hey?
It has.
So I'm Lynn. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And my son passed away almost 8 years ago. It'll be 8 years in April. And he was 20, and he died of a seizure-related accident. And I first met Nikki on a cruise with Tom Zuba. Remember that?
We were crazy.
It seems like forever ago, or just like yesterday sometimes.
I know.
I've done a lot of these classes, and it's been incredibly helpful. And I was like Nikki after Kevin passed away. I read everything I possibly could. I just immersed myself in all sorts of stuff to figure out where he was and how I could survive this, because I thought I'm never going to survive this. This is just the most horrific, painful thing that's ever happened to me. So yeah, so I've been coming to these classes for a long time. It does get better. It does get softer. I think I was debating whether I would come to this class or not this year, but I think I tend to fall back sometimes in the missing of him, not the being present with him. And so I wanted to kind of get back into that. And the Christmas is sort of bugging me a little bit this year. So I thought, yeah, I need this. I have to get back into this, because I think it's something, you can always use a refresher course, that's for sure. And so, yeah, so I'm here, and I have to leave at, I can't remember, a little after 12, but so I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to see everybody here. I recognize a lot of you, which is great. And welcome to the new people. It's Nikki's amazing. And so stick with it, because she and Kathy are just awesome.
Do you have snow already, Lynn?
We did, but it's all gone now.
Oh, good. You keep all that north of the border, because they're saying we're
Yeah,
supposed
right.
to have snow this week and I don't want it. So stop.
Oh, it's beautiful. We've got green grass here now, even. So yeah, all the snow went away in a day and a half. So it's nice. I think you're on mute there, Nikki.
I'm so glad you're back with us, Lynn. And what Lynn says is true. Like, it's always good to get a reboot. If you feel yourself slipping, then it's good to jump in a class, you know, have a session. The collective energy is even that, like the energy that we all bring in with each other. You know, it's kind of like at Warrior Week, right? You can feel that like that collective energy. And sometimes when you're kind of feel like you're backsliding, it's good to come into a safe space and with people who get it, people who understand it, that we can support you, and we can also lend our healing energy to you as well. So I love that you're back with us, Lynn. I was missing you. So all right. Patricia, Patty, do you want to go next?
Okay, you
There
can
you
hear
go.
me now?
Yep,
Okay.
we can hear you now.
I'm Patty. I live in South Jersey and I have a daughter in spirit for it'll be 16 years next month. And she passed away as from an overdose. It was she went to a party and went to a friend's house and never came home. It was, I believe, pills and alcohol. And she was 18, almost 19. And she was my wild child. And I also have a son in spirit who he considered he and his sister to be like twins, although he was 5 years older. And he is it's 8 years that he's passed, and he passed from a heroin overdose. And it always seems that when they're doing well, then this happens. You just think they're doing well, and this happens. So when she passed, it was very devastating. And I knew that if he passed, it would probably kill me, but I'm here.
That here you are and still reaching for healing.
Yes.
And that's amazing. That's amazing.
And I feel like I have healed and I do connect with them. I
Mhm.
talk to them daily, especially I walk the dog and we walk in a wooded area and I talk to them. But it's times like this, I still lose it.
That's okay. It's hard to, it's very hard for humans to stay present and and not start feeling, I mean, especially around holidays, you have all of this social pressure that you have a lot of nostalgia that's being kind of just, you're inundated with it, you know, on TV and the stores and all the things. So I think even without trauma and without any kind of loss that, you know, I think holidays are hard for people, period. So it's completely normal, Patty, that you kind of get sent back to that space. Um, you know, one of the things I want to offer you guys is in your shifting is that you had just said, Patty, like it seems like when they're doing good, that's when this happens. Leaf, you know, we had a very tumultuous life, and the 8 months before he passed, boy, that kid got stuff done. He graduated high school early. He started taking college classes at 16. He was working a 40-hour. I mean, he was just like bam, 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 on it, on it, on it. And what I know in my knowing now is that that's kind of can be what it looks like before they leave body. If you have not studied a soul contract, it can be a very, very good thing for you to dabble into, you guys, because if you come into a knowing that there are no accidents, that nobody leaves their body before it's time. And I personally believe that we wrote it in. Like Becky was saying earlier, like Leaf kept telling me, all is as it should be, Mom. All is as it should be. And of course, at that point, I was like, oh, is that fucking right? Oh, that's easy for you to say. You're flitting around the universe, and I'm down here dealing with all this bullshit and this horrible pain, you know. But I can now say, all is as it should be. Leaf you know, his physical death, people will say, oh, it's such a tragedy. And Leaf passed at a party too, Patty. He was the life of the party that night, drank 2 5ths of Fireball in like a 3-hour period. We found out he had medical conditions we didn't know about that added to that perfect storm. But like Leaf tells me, is like, it was epic. I had an epic transition. Like, it was awesome. And so I don't look at it as a tragedy or as his life was snuffed out too soon or any of that. My truth is, and I encourage you guys to explore this truth. My truth is that Leaf left his body exactly when he was meant to. Now, that doesn't mean that I liked it, you know, but I knew that in the surrender of that truth, I was finding peace, right? So I would offer to you, Patty, that kind of a shift, because we can get into that rut of thinking, oh, they were doing so good, and then this terrible thing has happened. But it's not terrible for them. They're living in bliss. So it's really important for you guys to get a truth about what are they doing? What does the afterlife look like, right? Leaf has shown me bits and pieces and glimpses, and I've read and studied and learned, and you know, I know that they're multidimensional. They can split their energy, so he can be bothering Christine while he's bothering Kathy, while he's tapping me on the shoulder all at once. So when you start really delving into what it actually looks like, you can start finding peace there, because you can ultimately, for me, and you guys have heard me say this, like when we have children, all we want for them is to be in bliss, like within their life, be in bliss, find and achieve pure happiness. They have that now. They have that now. This is why I can say to you, like, I wouldn't change what's happened. Leaf is in his bliss. I would not, for my own intents and purposes, take him out of that. You know what I mean? So when you start offering yourself shifts about what death actually is versus what we've been taught that it is, you can start to find peace there. So during the program, Patty, I would encourage you to take some of that energy in and start using it at home and start shifting your thinking in that way. And you're going to find that you're not going to feel so heavy. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
And
And
I
your
have
kiddos are
tried.
here with us.
I have tried some of the shifting, some of the things I have learned from you, like Nikki, and from being in this group. And
Good.
I do connect. I feel like I connect, but
Yeah.
the ego comes in and
Oh, that
out,
ego.
still fighting the ego, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
the ego's our tricky little booger that
yeah,
resides
and
within us.
it still is there poking me, after all this time,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have been feeling strangely emotional about
And
holidays out of the blue. And I can't really pinpoint it. I mean, the anniversary is coming up and their birthdays are coming up in February, you know. I do
it's
have
the
2 other
start.
children.
It's the start of like a big energetic time for you, it sounds like. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there is such a thing as cellular memory, guys. Like you can be going along to do. I mean, it's no different like when you hear a song and you're taken back to that time in your life. Your body has cellular memory. So you may be experiencing cellular memory. You said, you know, it's kind of come on out of nowhere. That's probably a cellular memory thing. And we're going to talk about ways that we can deal with the cellular memory aspect too, because there are ways we can work with the body to help reprogram that cellular memory. So that may be some of what's going on, Patty.
Mm,
You know, so, and
mhm.
you guys, this is a safe space. So if you come in and you need to cry, there's no shame in this game, ladies. Do what you need to do. If you come in and you're laughing, and that's great too. If you need a cry, that's great too. Whatever you need, this is what that space is for. Okay. So I
Thank
thank you
you.
for showing up. I thank you for showing up.
Yeah, I want to find out where I am in my healing. How
Okay.
much do I have to do? Where am I? I can convince myself, oh yeah, I'm doing great, but maybe I'm not. I don't know. I want
But
to
you
find
know,
out where I am.
and you have to realize, guys, there's an ebb and a flow to this, an ebb and a flow. You know, you guys saw me post around Leaf's birthday this year. Leaf's days this year They never bother me anymore. But I had just one like 7 hour stint of my 1% of grief like came back, and I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? Like, this is ridiculous, you know? And you guys saw me post about it, and I was like, 99% of the time, I'm completely fine. I celebrate his days, but that 1% snuck up on me, and I had to rectify it with my ego and be like, you know what? You're not going to take me here. But before I could make the shift, I had to cry. And I slept that night with this hoodie. I haven't picked that hoodie up in 3 years. And that night I slept with this hoodie. And I asked him, like, you know, this is ridiculous. And he was like, you just have a little bit left in there, Mom. It's going to come up from time to time. I shifted very quickly. I celebrated his days. We had great time. He was, you know, loud and clear there, but it's okay if it ebbs and flows. Something that I think people, because of the ego, Patty, you can be doing really good. And then if a wave comes, like, you know, you've been good and on the high flying disc for 2 years, then a wave comes, your ego wants to convince you that you've gone backwards or that you really haven't healed as much as you thought. That's not true. It's just your ego poking at you. You have healed. Do you have more healing to do? Yeah. But guess what, guys? Healing is not a destination. You heal the grief, and then you start healing old wounds, and then you start looking at inner child wounds. We are here as humans, embodied on this planet. We came here to grow and evolve. And so healing is that growth and evolution, and we will be doing it in some context until we too leave our body. It may not be about grief or death. It may be about, you know, self-worth and things of that nature. But if you can start looking at your journey as just that, a journey and not a destination, then you won't get so overwhelmed with like, what else do I like? I have clients that say, how long is this going to take, Nikki? Like, what else do I like? What else is out there that I have to be doing, Nikki? And I'm like, well, do you really want me to tell you how long it's going to take? Because, like, if you have 40 more years on Earth, you're going to be doing some kind of healing for the next 40 years if you so choose to, you know? So start making that shift, and that it becomes less daunting, right? Because you've dropped the expectation, and it doesn't allow your ego to start saying, oh, Patty, you're not as healed as you thought you were, are you? You know? So we'll do a lot of ego work in here, and we'll offer up shifts for that. And the thing about ego work, guys, is you have to keep on it. Like, the thing is a tricky little leprechaun, you know. And in ego taming class, you know, one of the exercises we do is we name our ego. And so we'll do that exercise. I'll post it within the thread, and that way you can start getting a very clear picture of your ego. And literally, I'll talk to mine. I look to my left shoulder, I'm like, you son of a bitch, you're back, aren't you? So, and I'll be like, you don't know what you're talking about. I know my truth, you know, and I literally just have conversations with it. So, and ego is not always a bad thing either. It really is a great guidance system for us. The problem is, as humans, it roars and our spirit whispers. And so oftentimes we let ego lead the way. Totally normal, Patty. Totally normal. And I'm glad you joined us, because I think that this will be a good shift for you. I think this program and this space is going to be really good. And, you know, I commend you for recognizing that. Like, oh, I think that I need to do this year. Like, a lot of people will just be like, this is just how it's going to be this year. And all of you are taking a proactive approach, and like, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to feel. So I'm coming in, and, you know, I'm going to work the program, and I'm going to be focused with my kids. And that changes the game. So I'm glad you're here with us. I'm glad your kids are here with us, because they are. Everybody's
Thank you.
kids are here with us. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this will make a difference in how I experience the holidays now and going forward.
I hope so too. And one thing I say when I do classes is that if you walk away from this program with even one thing,
Mhm.
just one thing, then you won, because you've taken that at least one thing, right? And the other thing about the program is, the more engaged you are in it, the more you're going to take away from it. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Angie hopped. Welcome back.
Hi, everyone. I'm from Huntington, Pennsylvania. It's freezing here. It looks nice out, but I know it's cold out. Anyways, Turk, he's my son, 23 years old when he transitioned, motorcycle wreck. It's just 5 years in September. He's my only child, and for 2 years I suffered, contemplated how I was going to kill myself, and then I stumbled upon this group, and at first I was like, what are they talking about?
These people are crazy.
um what is this? I don't even know what's going on here, but it sounds woo woo, and yeah, saved my life. Here I am.
And now Angie's pulling oracle cards for all her friends. So now she is now the woo woo.
Today I was feeling, most of the time I feel pretty good, but this morning I was like, went out yesterday shopping. You start seeing all the holiday stuff, and oh, if Turk was here, I would get him this. And somebody posted on Facebook about, oh, our new grandbaby, and I'm like, I'm not gonna have grandbaby. And I know.
That old ego was like, open door. I'm gonna
Yeah,
jump right in and lead the way here. Yeah.
for the most part, I'm like, okay, I think this is how it was supposed to be. I signed up for this, but then just,
Yeah. And
little
there's, I
weepy,
mean,
like I don't get
yeah.
grandbabies. Anyways, so
And the part of the shifts with that, and because that's hard stuff, right? And it's stuff that we all deal with. The shift that I use with that, or I used to use, I don't have to use it anymore, was like, I really, in those moments, I remind myself that there has been no end and that we didn't write in grandbabies. We better damn sure not have written in my daughter either, because I'm not a nurturing grandma type. But like with me not getting to see Leaf be married and all of that stuff, I just say, like, it doesn't mean I'm not gonna see it in the next life. Like, we didn't write it in the script this time, but that doesn't mean it's never gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen this time, right? So maybe next time we are gonna write that in. So that's a shift that I used a lot, a lot, a lot with all of those things when, his friends are posting their wedding photos and all the
right,
things, you know, and I remind myself that, he he didn't want to experience that. And that's a good shift, you guys, because you have to remember, if they didn't do something, they didn't write that in. But as humans, we have certain expectations of how life is supposed to go. We were supposed to see our kids get married, da 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 da. So when you start to manage and release expectations and you shift into your truth after you have the weeps, because you got to release that energy of it, then you just get back on the ball and start the shift again. So I'm glad that you joined us, because if it's totally normal to get melancholy. I think people that don't even have dead kids get melancholy at this time of year. I mean, I truly do. I think it's just some social programming that we've all got, and then everybody here has an added layer to that, or two added layers. So I'm always glad to see you, and Turk's always, he always shows up in the group too, so I think it'll be good.
yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
you're welcome. Thank you for coming. All right, Lauren, would you like to introduce yourself and your kiddo and share? Oh, I can't hear you. And you're not muted, so I'm not sure why. Let's see. Do you see your mute button, Lauren? The little microphone? Oh, it should be, let's see, down on the bottom of your screen. It's not working? It's not working? Okay. Do you see where you can type? And you can tell me what's going on with it, like right here? You guys hear my chicken pecking? It won't unmute? Kathy, do you know why it won't unmute? I expect Kathy to have a crystal ball and be able to see everybody's devices in her mind's eye and tell us what's wrong. That is strange. When it was unmuted, I still couldn't hear you. Are you on a phone, Lauren? On a phone or on a device?
Make sure you have your volume turned all the way up on your phone, Lauren, or your device that you're on. Then I'm stumped. I'm not sure what it would be if it's not. Yeah, we can circle back to you, Lauren. We'll see if we can get you unmuted and we'll come back to you.
Okay.
And if you unmute, just yell out.
It's like, hey, you can hear me now. Okay, let's go with one of the Kims. Which Kim wants to go? You do? Okay. Kim Robinson.
Hi, I'm Kim. My son Kyle transitioned on 7/6 of 2020. He was on his way back to school and he was hit from behind while stopped in traffic by a tractor trailer. And so one of the things that I learned really early on is that it was not an accident. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time on purpose. He did everything he could that day to get in front of that tractor trailer. So that was really a game changer for me. And I did have to decide that if that wasn't an accident, then there are no accidents, because you can't have both. You can't have accidents and have things happen on accident and then have no other, then have the opposite. It just doesn't work that
way.
Right. One of the other things that really helped me early on, maybe probably 6 months in, I heard the statement that we planned this. And I'm like, sure, I'm the one that stood up and said, yeah, I want to lose my kid. I want to lose my kid. And it took a while to realize that, about soul planning and that decision for me just resonated, and it was really something that I needed going forward, because it just didn't make sense otherwise.
Right.
It was really a big game changer. Up to this point, the holidays definitely different this year than it was last year, and of course the years before. I'm actually gonna put my tree up in a week.
Yay!
that hasn't happened yet. I'm gonna have Christmas Eve at my house this year, and that hasn't happened since either. Of course, Christmas was his favorite, just like probably every other kid around, right? Christmas and Halloween. Not sure I'll decorate as much as he would want me to, but it's in the back of my mind that he would want me to.
Or that he wants you to.
Okay. All right. Yep. I have done courses upon courses, videos. Thank God for Zoom. I don't know where I would have been without it. Books, I have like 6 books that I'm 20 pages in on each one. So I'm learning everything I can about this. And my struggles are real, and the belief, I'm sorry, the knowing is still not 100%. I still struggle with that. I struggle with meditation. I want to say I've heard his voice I've heard him like 3 times, and then it stopped, and I haven't heard it in quite a while. And of course, that's me thinking that it wasn't him because I can't hear him anymore.
Oh, old ego sneaking in there, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Definitely struggle with that, and the connection. And I know the knowing is what's stopping me. I know that. She's unmuted. Sorry, I just saw that pop up.
Sorry, I was
So-
trying to.
It's okay.
So I questioned whether I'd do this class, and just sitting here now, I can feel my insides, just like the energy. I can feel it like pulsating, like it's where I'm supposed to be.
Perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And huge milestone for you this year. You're going to totally go full bore on and celebrate. I think that's amazing. Something I want to point out, because I'm a pointer outer of things, is what I just did with Kim, what we did with Kim. Stop talking about your kids in past tense. I know it's a hard thing to do, right? Because we're programmed that they would have, or they would have. Your kids still exist. They're still speaking to you. They're still around you. So they still are, right? So your words have power. And you know this, Kim. I'm not
Mhm.
calling you out. Like, you know this.
Yep.
But it's your words have power. So every time you say, Kyle wants me to decorate instead of Kyle would want me to decorate, when you say Kyle wants me to decorate, you're in just that simple shift of
Right.
statement, you guys,
Mhm.
you're reinforcing your truth. You're digging into a neural pathway in your brain, and you're actually, by proxy, calming your ego down, right?
Mhm.
Because your ego's not going to immediately pop in and say, wait, why are you talking to about him like he's still here? So in that simple of a word change, you do a multitude of things with your healing, right? It's a hard habit to start, though. You know what I mean? It's a hard habit to start when we're so programmed to speak of them in past tense.
Mhm.
So didn't mean to call you out there, Kim. It was a teachable moment, though. So
Nope, take it when you can get it, right?
yeah. I'm so glad that you decided to join us. I think that it'll be exciting to watch you re-enter the holidays with Kyle. So that's exciting. All right.
Thank
Miss
you.
Lauren, you're welcome.
I had to go in and unmute and re-sign in, so I'm here now. So I grew up believing everything that you teach about the other side and about communicating. My problem is that when I lost my son, when he was 20 years old, it was 4 years in August, I kind of shelved my emotions and went on autopilot.
Mhm.
And I've basically been on autopilot for 4 years, but I can't stay there. I need to learn how to move forward. I need to reach out, which is really hard for me. For me to be here right now, I had to call my aunt. I was having a panic attack an hour before this meeting started. I'm just not a good sharer. I'm not good at reaching out for help. So this is not easy for me to do.
It's a big step.
Yeah.
Step. But
Yeah.
here you are doing it.
Here I am doing it.
Here you are doing it. And for those, Lauren is actually Bernie's your aunt.
Yeah, Bernie's my aunt. I know about the cruise and Tom Zuma and yeah.
Yeah. So she actually messaged me yesterday. She was like, "Did Lauren sign up for the class?" And I'm like,
Well,
yes, she did.
I messaged her on Friday and I've wanted to do your classes for a while now, but I've been on Facebook watching all the stories and reading everything. I don't participate is my biggest problem. And so I texted her on Friday. I'm like, I think I'm going to do the holiday program. What do you think? She's like, do it. And she called me right away. So yeah.
It's a big step. It can be very intimidating for you guys, the rest of you guys too. Like, I remember the first class that I ever took, and I sat back and didn't engage at all. I just sat back and I just listened and soaked it all in. And I would gauge in like the typing the threads, but like speaking within other people, I was just like, yeah, I don't know about that. It's very intimidating to start in your healing, and not have it be private anymore, right? But for me, what I have found is that when you come together with like-minded individuals in that safe space, it can draw you out. It can draw you out. And like Kim said, the autopilot, it is disassociation. So like we got to look at mindfulness and it getting present, and you know, and we go from there. And I think it's very, very brave for you. You know, 4 years is a long time to disassociate. And you see people though that they literally, a lot of society, they go on to the autopilot and that's just where they stay. And you'll
I don't-
talk to them.
I don't
you
think you
know?
realize that you're in autopilot until you realize you're in autopilot.
Right, right. I mean, when you finally are like, you know what, I am literally moving through everything and I feel nothing. I just feel numb.
That's basically
Right?
what happens. I'm constantly numb. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a big thing. It's a brave thing, you know, and I know a lot of you are you know, those of you that a lot of you have been together in class after class after class after class. So you've been to Warrior Week together, and you know, so you know people. But I can tell you, like, the connection that you can have with other, especially other women, other mothers, everything you say, somebody here is going to resonate with a piece of it. You know what I mean? We literally, even though all of our journeys and our stories are different, at the end of the day, we're walking the same walk. We all have different nuances, we all have different layers, we all have different levels, but at the end of the day, we're powerful when we band together and engage with each other, because we really, we feed off each other. It's just like pain feeding. You see people that pain feed and they get sucked into that, and that's where they're at. Same thing happens in a healing based community. That collective energy comes together and you get sucked into that. So I'm so glad that you jumped in and you know, it took a chance. Took a
Thanks.
chance.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us. Okay, who's next? How about Kimberly? Kim number 2, Kimberly Woodruff.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, are you there laid up with your broken leg?
Well, I have a broken hand and a broken, yeah. I'm
Goodness
laid up for
gracious.
3 months.
Oh my.
So, yeah, this
Right.
was kind of freaky because I'm here in Virginia Beach and my son transitioned October 5th, 2020. So I first came to know the group and Warrior Week, and it was really helpful for me to be with like-minded people. And I think if everybody in our friend group was like-minded, we wouldn't even have a problem. But
Right.
trying to be with somebody that's like-minded, you feel like an oddball. You know, nobody wants to feel like the odd person out. You know, it's like in
Right.
school when you were not part of the group. So I
Right.
think that in itself like makes the whole situation even worse. And I October 5th came and went, and you know, it was a struggle before, but it was okay. But then October 12th, I ran through a red light at 50 miles an hour, and that's just not me. Right close to my house. I have no memory when I left the house, when it happened. There was no medical reason that they could identify. And I saw this big poof of bright light. And then I saw these dark eyes looking at me. And then I was screaming in my car, my leg, my leg. So that was kind of what the last couple of weeks have been like. I was in the hospital for 5 days, and I just went back down that hole again. I think a lot of my tears are me feeling sorry for myself. The
But
fact
you know
that
what? Yeah, at least you're crying the tears though, because it doesn't matter why. You cannot heal this stuff without feeling this stuff. So I'm glad you're crying, Kim, I'm glad you're crying, Kimberly, because you have to be able to release that to be able to eventually shift out of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I cry every day, but like I live alone. Austin was my only child. I really don't have any friends and family that are close. So I knew I had to do it myself. And that's always been a big fear of me since Austin passed. And actually it was a fear of Austin just being by itself. And I know that he is cheering me on. Come on, Mom, you can do it. Look, you did this, you did that. You're going to be okay. It's going to be hard. I'm here with you. And
Mhm.
I think that's what brought me to the program because I really need some extra support to get through the holidays.
Well, we got you, girl. We got you.
You
You know,
Thank you.
this is very isolating. It can be very isolating. I remember going out in public and looking around and being like, these fucking people don't even know that
Yeah.
I'm walking around like the living dead. They're like,
Yeah.
it was so weird to me that the whole world was just going on about their day. And I'm sitting here like, you know, I remember that feeling. And especially when you start healing and you're finding a deeper truth, Kimberly, like that Austin's here with you and that like
Right.
I'm very bold in my truth. Like I'll tell people like, yeah, my dead kid who's not really dead, and they just look at me and I'm like, yeah, you know, my dead kid's not really dead. I'm to a point now, I don't give a shit who thinks I'm crazy, but at first it could be isolating. And I think it's really important when you're just stepping into that and really trying to live in that truth. I think it's really important that you have other people like us that
Yeah.
also live in that truth because you're not crazy. And if we can empower you to live in your truth openly and loud
Yeah.
and not give a shit who thinks you're crazy. I mean, even Kathy the other day, we were talking and you know, she's had people tell her like, well, and I've had people tell me like, well, that's a really good coping mechanism. I'm like, it's not a coping mechanism. Like my kid ain't dead, but if that's what you need to think. So I'm glad that you stepped in with us, Kimberly, because I
Thank
think
you.
that it is needed. You need your community. You
Yeah.
need your people. Our kids all know each other, right? They
Yeah.
all led us here together. So that's why it's important for when you get that call or that nudge to jump in. And, you know, and you're a pretty private person too, Kimberly. You know, so those of you guys that are like private people, you know, I'm an open book, so I don't think anybody would call me private. I probably overshare too much, quite honestly. But for those of you that are private people, I do commend you guys for stepping into this because you need community. You need for us to be able to say to you, Kimberly and Patty and Lauren, that you know what? It's okay to be vulnerable here with us. We're going to hold
Yeah.
space for you. And I'm going to hold space for you. And then I'm going to say, well, but we could offer a shift here. I probably won't even say it that nicely, but like
Right.
start, if you guys use the tools that we bring to this and you start using them consistently, consistency is the key here. And you start changing your verbiage and you start changing, you know, you're doing all your shifting. Oh, there's Andrea. If you start doing your shifting, just as simple as that, you said, Kimberly, Austin was my only child. He still is your only child,
Yeah.
right? So even if you just take those things away and take away the collective energy that we bring, I think it's going to get better. I think you won't
Yeah.
feel so alone and so isolated through the holidays. You know, of course you're melancholy and weepy right now. You're laid up for 3 months, girl, you know. And when you were telling me the story, my first thing that came in was it, she was meant to experience that because it's now brought you
Here.
inevitably. You may not have been in this program had you not experienced that situation, right? So it's
Right.
led you right to where you're supposed to be to get what you need. And so, you know, as traumatic as the non-accident was, it's catapulted you into your next layer of healing that you are willingly stepping into,
Yeah.
right?
I agree.
And And you already know you're one of us, Kim. You went to Warrior Week with us. You're stuck with us, girlfriend.
I know. If you can handle that, you can handle anything.
Exactly. You got this.
Right.
And the weepy, I'm exceedingly weepy, and I'm not a weepy person. Y'all that
Right.
have met me in person know I'm not a weepy person. Ask Nikki. I call her all the time now. Oh
And you know what I do?
I'm stupid weepy.
I take screenshots of her when she's crying and she's not using her tools, and then I get mad at her because she won't use her tools, and I send her a screenshot of her weeping face. I'm like, this is what you look like when you're not using your tools.
Yeah, she does. That is not even a joke. She literally sends me those pictures, and it kicks my ass back into gear because I know what the tools are. I had healed so far after Sophie died, and then when Michael died, and I was completely bereft initially, even after saying, I know he's with Sophie, I know what happens, I know where he is. I was connected with him 2 days after he left body, in a medium reading with Rachel Pearson. And I never doubted where he was, but there's all this freaking ugly, yicky, feel sorry for myself shit going on that makes me exceedingly weepy. So I totally get why you're feeling the way you are. Completely get it.
Right. Thank you.
And extend yourself grace, because you are human. And yeah, you're going to feel sorry for yourself sometimes, guys. That's just human. Sun in your eyes, Andrea. It's like, that's part of being human. So if you allow yourself to move through that and not get stuck there, that's the key. And that's what you're doing, Kim. You joined here because you know you're feeling it, but you don't want to stay in that emotional space. And guess what, guys? It gets darkest before the dawn, and then it gets darkest before the dawn, and then it gets darkest before the dawn. Because if we live in our light all the time, we don't grow. Humans grow through contrast. So we have to have the darkness, these dark things that happen, for us to be like, have the awareness of where we go next in our healing. Does that make sense? And I know it's like, we hate the darkness and we hate feeling down and we hate all of it, but it really is the catalyst for you to keep growing. You know what I mean? So, and that's any contrast, whether it's feeling sorry for yourself or whether it's being overwhelmed with all the obligation and responsibility. All of that is leading you into your healing if you allow it to, right? The problem with society is a lot of them don't allow it to lead them into the healing, and they get stuck in that ickiness, right? I mean, most of society is stuck in that ickiness, you know? So I'm glad you guys are here with us, Kimberly. I think that, I think your wreck, was a blessing, because it just put you right here with us now, and you're not going to spend the holidays alone. And we can reiterate to you that he is right there with you, right here with us. So good job. Be proud of yourself. All of you be proud of yourself for stepping into the program. It's not always easy, especially if you're a private person. To be vulnerable in front of other people is terrifying. It can be terrifying, but you're safe here to do it. All right? All right. How about Rebecca?
Hi, my name's Rebecca, and this is my third holiday program. My first one was my son had only transitioned. He had transitioned in March, and so I love Christmas. I'm the one that puts my Christmas up before Thanksgiving, and so I was devastated. And I took this program, and I learned how to make new traditions. So my Christmas is different, but I learned so much. Just yesterday, I went to a Thanksgiving celebration with my son's name is Joseph, and his cousins, they're more his age. So they all have kids now, and I cried, and I hadn't cried in our own Thanksgiving, and but I had the tools to shift, and I learned those tools here in this program, and so I let myself be teary eyed, and then I was able to shift and enjoy the rest of the evening. But this has been a lifesaver, and I love being here. I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas. Joseph transitioned when he was 29 from acute fentanyl poisoning, and he suffered a lot. He was very, very depressed, and so it's been kind of, I felt guilty a lot for being at peace, that he was at peace. He wasn't suffering anymore, but how could I be glad that he wasn't physically present? So I felt a lot of guilt in that. And again, this program helped me deal with those issues. And so it's been a lifesaver for me. So I'm glad to be here again.
I'm so glad that you're back with us, you guys. You're both back.
Well, I
with us.
fall off the wagon, so I have. So I needed to come. I mean, I haven't been doing my gratitudes, and I haven't really been working on my healing. We talked earlier about, to me, I had to realize that healing wasn't a destination, that it's a journey, and it's something I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And the more tools I have for that, the better. So
yeah, and it truly is. Like I told you guys, like I don't experience grief 99% of the time, but even in that, the tools that I started using for my grief, I still do every day. I still surround and protect every day. I still cut cords every day. I ground every day. I call my power back every day. Sometimes I cut cords several times a day, depending on who all I've had to engage with. I still do that ritual literally every single morning. And it has nothing to do with connecting with Leaf anymore. It has to do with keeping me grounded and centered and my spirit stronger than my ego. Right? So it takes consistency, but we do all fall off. It's kind of like those types of tools, you guys, it has to be so consistent and stay so immersed in it that it becomes as natural to you as brushing your teeth. Like you get up and you're not like, oh, I gotta go brush my teeth. Like you just get up and you go do it. So those sorts of tools, those rituals have to become part of your daily life.
Yeah.
And that's why we do gratitudes and affirmations in the big group. That's why we will do them every day in this group. So I'm glad you're back with us. I think it's going to be a good one. Do you have your tree up already?
Yes, I do.
Okay. That's cool. I
Yes,
don't
I
judge on
do.
that. I'm like, let the people
I
do whatever
and
they
well,
want.
we one of the traditions that my daughter started for me is we started a tree. Just Joseph has his own tree, and so she buys me little ornaments of things he liked, like we have an icy on there and tacos, just anything that he likes. And so she buys me that on Christmas and his birthday, and so
that's perfect.
we graduated for the first time. It was one small tree, and now it's a little one, so we might have to have a even bigger one next year, but that's one of the things we did.
I did the opposite. The first year I had a whole huge tree that was all leaf. And then, because it was like he transitioned in September and then that December, so like the whole entire huge tree was all leaf, and my whole family was probably like, this is ridiculous. But, I didn't care what they thought. And then the next year, I did a small tree, and now he doesn't get a tree at all. He has a shelf. That's what
we still put his stocking out, and I still put stuff in it, and my daughter's like, and that's because my daughter's 23, and she's like, can I have what's in Joseph's stocking? I'm like, yes, you can have it. So she gets double because we still put his stocking out. But
and what Richek is talking about, guys, is starting new traditions that bring them in. We will talk about in the thread. I'm going to do a post about how you can bring them in and how people bring them in. So that's something that Richeka does to bring them in. You can plate food you can feed your kids' spirit. So, Leaf went from, I used to plate him a huge plate of food, and I'd have his urn there and a candle and all the things. And now I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to even give you a piece of pumpkin pie, bro. Sorry. And I'll put out his little piece of pumpkin pie. And I'm like, I hope you're, popping around to everybody's Thanksgivings because I didn't play anything for you. So you can start doing things like that. And we're going to talk about that in the thread, in the group, in a post, and we're all going to share ideas. And there are lots of different things you can do. And it really does help. Like that's helpful to you, Richecki.
It
his presence is right there. So we're going to talk about all different things that you can even start doing even at your Thanksgiving celebrations. So that we'll do that in the thread though. So I think that's wonderful. I love that. And I love that shift and that's a happy thing now. Like you looked forward to putting up his tree, right?
Yes, I do.
So that's the difference in focusing with them and on their presence than focusing on, oh, I'm putting up the tree and they're not here to do it. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are there to do it. That's the difference. So that's the core of what we're going to be getting at in this program. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Richecka. Kathy LaRosa, you're up.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kathy. I like to be called Kat. I live in Whitestone, New York. My daughter Jules transitioned in January of 2020 from fentanyl poison, and they said her asthma was also involved, but I'm sure that was because of the fentanyl. I turned into just a zombie. I wouldn't accept it. I guess that's the best way to explain it. I just kept telling myself she's away, she's visiting her friend in California. I wouldn't accept it, but yet I wouldn't leave my bedroom. I have a son who's 4 years younger than her, and they are the best of friends. From the minute he was born, always together, always like the giggle in the house, that just always. And then about 6 months later, my husband noticed I wasn't looking right. And he's like, you don't look right. And this is like enough. You've got to get out of bed. We've got a deal. So I had to go to one of my doctors, and I found out that I was suffering from a very severe case of broken heart syndrome. And my heart was really not in a good place. And the same day, about 3 hours later, I was also diagnosed with cancer. So it was like, my doctor was so kind, just so frightened. She said to me, all I can say to you is you just need to be mindful at this point in your life. And I haven't lost a child, and that probably sounds really cool, but if you don't become mindful of what you're going through, your heart's not going to make it, and your cancer's not going to make it, and your son and husband are going to be without you. And she kind of really woke me up, because within 2 weeks I was in treatment for my heart and my cancer. And I knew I needed to start focusing that Jules wasn't earthly anymore. I'm a spiritual person. My mother passed, and she's always come. She's gone 25 years, but she's always been with me, specifically in my garden, because that was her thing. And I feel her. So I started telling myself, if I can feel my mother, how can I not feel my daughter? But I also was going through everything alone. Like my husband couldn't come with me to treatments because of COVID. And it was just such a tumultuous time. And my daughter was she personally would always lift me up. And she was just a noise in our house. And I was like missing all that. I did join this group, the Compassionate Friends. And it was okay, but then I felt like I was grieving for other people too hard, and it was taking me away from trying to fix what I had broken. So I stopped there, but somebody on that post had mentioned this group. And I said, you know what, I'm going to try this group. And I did. And I noticed that everything was more connected with what I wanted to learn more about. And I had a class with Nikki. And I felt with just one class, made me feel so empowered that I can do this. in spite of my health issues and everything I was going through and doing it alone and wishing my daughter was even just sitting in the lobby waiting for me to come out of treatment, she wasn't. And just to give a background on how I got my first message from her, is my daughter's first son was once stillborn the year before she passed. And she had a terrible pregnancy. But I used to say things to her like, you feel so sick because you're probably making a kidney today. You're growing a human. Or maybe you just made his liver. Oh, I bet you just made his spine. And it would make her crack up, but she just felt so sick. And it was just this ongoing thing for 9 months. And then when he was born stillborn, of course she broke, and it was downhill from there. But a little bit after my first class with Nikki, I was doing the affirmations and the gratitudes, and I was, making sure my Jules was present every day, that she wasn't gone. I was stopping my ego from saying everything it wanted to say. And it didn't work all the time. I mean, I was still kind of a zombie, but I felt like I was a more in tune zombie, if that makes sense. And then one day I was resting, and it was like a really good rest. I woke up, but I heard talking in my brain. So I know when I hear something like that, or a dream is still not over, I right away close my eyes in because I don't want to wake up fully. I want to continue. And it was so awesome because I actually heard my daughter say, "Love to the one who made my heart." And that message was exactly from what I was saying to her about her Alessio when she was growing him. You're making your heart today, so that's why you're vomiting all day. Or you just made 2 kidneys, so that's why, you can't keep your eyes open today. And that message was so significant to me, and it just blew my mind. And that's when I started journaling, because then she started sending me more messages.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I thanked her. I said, you couldn't have sent me a more specific message than thanking me for growing your heart. Let me know that we'll never, ever be detached from each other. Of course, my ego still gets in the way. I'm grateful for this program. My son is getting married in January, and I know my daughter will spiritually be there, but my ego self is physically knowing her not being in the pictures and her not being there, and I can't hurt in front of my son because he has his own hurt. So I'm leaning on this program to just know that I'm going to be okay at the wedding, that Jules is going to be there, and that he's going to be fine.
And she actually might show up in those pictures. I have several pictures that Leaf is in. Like, you can literally see the outline, like a translucent image that Leaf is in. The first one that was really, really big was at Omri's Sweet 16 party. And I was like, holy crap, he's literally right here beside her. And I'll see if I can find the picture and post it. But so instead of, she won't be in the pictures, she might show up in those pictures.
It's really interesting because yesterday my great nephew is 2, and of course the family got together to celebrate him. And one of my other nephews took a picture of a bunch of us at the table, and then he sent it after the party was over, and he said, "Aunt Kat, you need to look at your face." I'm like, "Ugh, what? You see my 6 chins?" I was joking. And he said, "No, Aunt Kat, look at your face." And I looked, and there is my entire face is filled with the sun, and it's in the shape of an angel. And he said, "Do you think Jules was with us, Aunt Kat?" And today is actually her son Alessio's birthday and my mother's birthday. So I felt like it was just all encompassing what I'm sitting through right now.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all my nieces and great nieces, the picture got sent to everybody. They were like flipping out this morning. It was like 3 group texts of like 10 people. I have a very large family. And they were like, oh my God. And they were like so happy that they were able to see something like that. So today I don't feel down. I feel like light, if that makes sense, like really
absolutely
light-hearted. And I will post the picture
Okay.
because it's just miraculous to see it, that it just landed on me and we're all at the table.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 50 people missing, but
Hey,
we're
Mom.
all, you know,
Hey,
it
mom.
was,
Hey, mom. Hey, mom. Mom, mom,
and
mom.
yeah, and she was so close to her cousins. They all grew up together. She was like, "You're all there, but so am I." And that's how James took it as well. He's like, "Hey, Kat, Jules has never left me." And it just felt so amazing to me. And yeah, the first year and the second year, I had a stem cell transplant. It was really hard without her and without my family because nobody could be with me. But when I started to engraft, it's a very serious part and you get a really high fever. And I couldn't rest. The nurse says you need to rest because your fever is very high. I actually felt my daughter lay behind my back and hug me.
Mhm.
And the nurse said when she came back in, I was fast asleep, which she did not expect because it's a very uncomfortable process when you're starting grafting new cells. And she said I slept about 4 hours. And after that, I was like, fine. I didn't need a blood transfusion. The nurse was like, what is going on? And I know it was my daughter. She's like, you're fine, Mom. You just got to stay there a month. Agility, you're going to do great. And I am doing great. And I really credit her for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm really learning that she's sitting right here, right now. I can feel her. In
Absolutely.
fact, my foot
Absolutely.
is going numb. And I asked her before to move. I said, could you move over? It's a big bed. So I'm so
That's
grateful for this
awesome.
program, and I'm putting my tree up today. This is the first time. And I'm doing it for Jules and I'm doing it for my son. It's just going to be his last Christmas home, you know,
And you're
waking up with
doing it
us.
with Jules.
And I'm doing it exactly with Jules.
With
And
Jules.
he wants to do all her decorations that we've collected since she was a baby, which is so sweet of Anthony. And I'm actually excited to do it right after the program.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's big.
So I'm
Something that
feeling,
you're feeling connected. This is what
I'm,
connects you know, you feel light, you feel connected, you're
I
in
feel like I'm
flow.
going into what I'm supposed to learn. I can't meditate. Oh my gosh, I try all the time and my mind picks up everything that needs to get done as soon as I try to go blank. So I'm like, no, I can't do this yet. But I keep trying.
Yeah, keep trying. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But you can keep trying, you
Right.
know. So one of the things that I picked up on is, you know, this is something that the process that I went through, like you said, that you were avoidant, you weren't accepting. So I remember having to like convince myself that Leaf was dead. Like I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't understand what was happening. Like we were packing everything up and moving everything. And I had called my mom to come help. And I would look at her every morning and I'd say, why are we doing this? And she'd have to say, because Leaf died, Nikki. And I'd say, like, I don't understand. And she'd say, we're packing up and moving you back home because Leaf died. And so when I started healing, it was like I had to convince myself that he had died. And then I started finding him. And then I had to convince myself that he actually hadn't died. Like, what a mind fuck. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
felt like I was going insane. But that's kind of the process that we're going through, right? So it's like we convince our brains that they died and it was this terrible thing, and then now with you guys in your healing, your process is literally the exact opposite of that, right? You're like, and now it's like, oh, wait a minute, they didn't die. So that's very taxing on a human brain and on a human body, you know what I mean? So I'm glad you guys are with us, Kathy. I think this will be great. And
Me
and
too.
like I said, stop telling yourself she's not going to be in the pictures, because she's literally already like hand delivered it
She
to you that
like,
that's false.
when you see the picture, she was like, take this, Mom. I mean, that's exactly what I took from the picture. I was like, holy wow, Jules.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
glad you guys are with us. All right, Miss Peggy, are you Galaxy Tab A? Peggy.
Hi, I'm here. I don't know what this thing says. It may say, I thought it said me, but who knows what it says. Can you see me here?
Yeah,
And-
we can see you. You're Galaxy Tab A. So
Good.
this is Peggy, everybody.
Hey,
Her name is not Galaxy Tab A.
But I'll step into the galaxy. I don't mind. So yeah, done this a couple of times, right? I think 3 years maybe. I
Is
don't
this
know.
your third? Yeah.
I think this is the third one because I know last year wasn't happening for me. So my Mikey left for heaven on 11/11/18. He was poisoned by someone he thought was a friend, slipped him some alprazolam and enough to kill him. So so I knew Mikey was gone before we even knew he was gone. We've always been very connected, and that obviously didn't change because he left for the universe, So since Mikey left, my brother, my sister-in-law, and then my mom passed. She's coming up on a year. The 27th. So I am right where I need to be. We love-minded people who are dealing with the same earthly crap that,
The same earthly contrast.
Ah. So yeah, I'm just trying to stay very present and just going with the flow of whatever it is. I have a tree up for Mikey that has been up since for 5 years now. And so I don't really do too much worrying about decorating and all that. My house looks like a hoarder show with all my mom's content, and so I'm dealing with that nonsense with contrast in my family. Let's put it that way. So I'm just gonna go along with whatever it is. I'm not having any expectations, and we're just gonna roll with it. And whatever it is, it is. If I hang out here by myself, that's cool. I'm in good company because I'm never alone. They're all here with me all the time. And if I go to my brothers and sister-in-laws, then that'll be that. But I don't put any big emphasis on a date on a calendar. I haven't in years, even before, Mikey hit the road. So I'm just moving through it
Going
and
with the flow.
just trying to stay focused on the positive and grateful and just doing what I need to do to get through the days.
Perfect.
Find joy and happiness and just being spontaneous and doing whatever the hell happens.
Awesome.
So
I'm glad that you guys are with us and and we get to spend holidays together again this year. So I think that's cool.
yeah, I think it's a win. I'm winning.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Winning. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Brenda. This is Brenda, but she uses Dakota, her son's page. So her actual name is Brenda. Brenda, you're up. Do you want to talk or are you just, oh, you said you were just listening today. Brenda is sick. I'll do a little bit. Dakota is her son in spirit, and Brenda actually heavily grieved and stayed in that space for what was it, 10 years, Brenda? For 10 years in that space. Then she was led to Healing Warrior Parents, and within the last year, the shift has been enormous. The shift has been completely enormous. So she, sat with social programming of what grief was and all of that for 10 years. And within the last year, we have not only seen her entire belief system change, her connection with Dakota change, they hang out all the time. Her actual appearance of energy has even changed. So she is a testament to literally jumping in with both feet, even after 10 years, and working the programs, using the tools, and she's a living testament that it works. It works. It doesn't matter when you start it. It works. So I'm glad you guys are with us. She's sick right now, and I forgot that she said she's just going to listen. So I'm glad you guys are with us and feel better. Okay, Andrea, Christine, I'm making you laugh. So, Andrea, you're up. We're just doing quick introductions.
Sorry,
You're okay.
me here. Oh, okay. I'm Andrea, and my son Nicholas, April 2020. He completed a suicide. He was 13 years old. At that time, it was, I think, a couple of weeks after we went on, maybe not, maybe it was about a month since we went into lockdown for COVID. He was, and still is, a very loud kid. So he'll be in and out here, I'm sure. I've been with group since a couple of months after he passed. I was invited by Emily, who also has a son in spirit, and I haven't left. I have had my ups and downs like everybody, I think. And right now I'm on a down spiral, but I'm hoping that I can come out of this, like Nikki says, you have to go through the darkness to get to the light. So that's why I'm here this year. One more time.
Whatever it takes. There could be 1,001 more times. And as long as you are open to moving through it and having a shift, then, then you're doing the work, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm glad you're with us. I'm glad you and Nicholas are with us. So she's also in Florida. So we're like not
I'm
cold like
sorry. I have my glasses on. It's just I can't see you all.
That's okay. When you came on, you were like this. I was like,
I'm like,
the sun is shining in her eyes. So I'm glad you're with us. It'll be, the collective energy will be good for you too.
And
are you there?
Prior to everything else, I have a mouth like a sailor. I will
right in.
most likely. I apologize if those are not your type of words. Those are my type. Sorry.
Usually what we find is the people that come into any of our classes that stick around are not easily offended by the vulgarity. Thank God for that. I just consider it an endearing quality in myself at this point. So, all right, Miss Christine, you are up.
Hello, everybody. I'm Christine, and I'm here with my son, Alex, who crossed over. It's been 21 months. He was 20, and he had a underlying heart condition. We didn't know about it. He had cardiac myopathy. I believe, I know that Alex actually guided me to Nikki and Kathy. This is my second year doing the holiday group. Last year, when I showed up very nervous. I think I was like the newbie. And I was pretty broken. Similar to Nikki, after Alex transitioned, I kind of went looking for him. I grew up in a Christian family where, you know, you die, you go to heaven. You'll see, you know, you'll see your loved ones when you all get there. And I really kind of questioned that, and I went in panic mode. I actually remember saying to my daughter-in-law, what if all of that's just complete bullshit and I never see Alex again? So I went looking for him and, you know, started reading books, started talking to him, you know, doing all of that. But it was actually the holiday group. Like I didn't even know about Healing Warrior Parents, Nikki. Like I think I had a reading with Rachel Pearson, and then she posted about the holiday group, and Steve, my husband, was like, "You need to do something, Christine. You know, I think you should do the group." And it was a game changer for me. In fact, on Facebook today, it was a year ago that I actually heard Alex like talk back to me. And the only reason why I know it was a year ago is we were out to dinner with friends and like we were having a good time. We were playing pool and I was en route to the bathroom and I heard like him very loud and clear, "Mom, mom, like you are having a good time. Allow yourself to have a good time. And I am here with you. And it's okay to have a good time." Because a lot of the time we would, you know, go out with friends. I'd put the smile on my face. And then when it was said and done, I'd be like a blubbery mess the whole way home. And that was a real changing point for me. I'm very connected to Alex. He is extremely loud. He's extremely bossy. And I'm really like, I'm in the knowing. He's like, he's always here. And he's guiding me. He's still guiding me. As far as the holidays, it feels very different this year than last year. But I know how grief works. It's like a slippery little bit. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know how I'll feel tomorrow. I don't know how I'll feel the rest of the week. But I need to embrace it and feel it. And just kind of, you know, deal with a wave if a wave comes. So that's kind of where I'm at. We really created some really nice traditions thanks to Nikki and Kathy last year with the group. You know, we play Alex Food. He was a foodie. So
he still is a foodie.
He still is a foodie. And he'll be here with us. So we'll bring him in. You know, we'll talk about him. Just, you know, and we'll you know, it's one moment. I've learned it's one moment at a time.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the key, you guys, to being mindful and present is go literally one moment to the next moment to the next moment. That's where your point of power is. Louise Hay said that. The point of power is in the present moment. And the thing about that is that's where you also find connection. That's where you have the awareness of your children. Because if your brain's running on what happened, and all that's happened, or your brain is projecting into the future, how is this going to unfold? How am I going to do this? How I'm going to do that? Your brain's going to be too busy to be aware of your child. So your point of power is in the present moment. That's where you connect to self. That's where you connect to your kiddos. That's where you move through and allow. Okay, so that's going to be super important for all of you during the holidays. Okay, is to be very mindful and very present. And it can be a little like to be mindful and present, like to take control of your brain in that way is a little bit exhausting. I will tell you, like it can be exhausting to be constantly aware of your thoughts, but it is one of your biggest tools that you can use moment to moment, like Christine said, and definitely day to day. And it does get easier the more you practice it. And it's so freeing too. Like that's what I found in the moment to moment. Like I still live that way. And it's so freeing because like just a lot of the pressure just melts away, you know? So I'm glad you guys are here with us, Christine.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like AA. Like even though, it's like at this moment, like, like I'm feeling okay with things. It's like, it's like that little, like that tune up, like you need
Right.
that, in being with like-minded people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys are all with us. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow morning in the thread, well, I need somebody who would like to be in charge of gratitude, the daily gratitudes and affirmations post. Do I have volunteer? Andrea, you want to do it? Okay. So every day, Andrea will post her gratitudes and affirmations. And then in the comment section, I want you each to go in and do your gratitudes and affirmations. If you're really down in it and all you can be grateful for is the fact that you have toilet paper, but I am grateful for toilet paper. Okay. They can be big and profound. They can be simple. There is absolutely no gratitude that is too big or too small. Okay. So like if you ever read mine in the big post in the big group in Healing Warrior Parents, mine really run the gamut in a single post of like, I'm grateful for running water. And then the next one might be, I'm grateful that I'm divinely led and guided, so it can be spirit realm, earth realm, whatever it is. You're in your affirmations. I want you to be saying, I am embracing holidays this year because we want to start shifting the mindset that we're not dreading them. And your affirmations, guys, are sometimes your fake it till you make it statements, right? The whole point of an affirmation is to send out your words at an energetic vibration that the source can recognize and reciprocate. So when you start to say it, like I did not believe I was healing for a long time, but I was still saying, I am healing, I am healing, I am healing. And my ego would be like, no, you're not, bitch. And I'd be like, shut up. I am healing, I am healing, I am healing. So it's okay if you don't feel like you're embracing the holidays. We're just trying to set the stage to shift. Does this group have their own website? This holiday group, is that what you mean? So yeah, the link that I sent you that we just got you into, that is the group link. So like I'll be that will be the group that this is centered in. So the Zoom link for each of our things I'll always post it in there. Kathy and I will be filling up stuff to put in the thread. We'll have discussions. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to open up a discussion about probably tomorrow mid-morning. I'm going to open up a discussion about different ideas of what can be done to bring the kids into Thanksgiving, because we're going to start with Thanksgiving. Like, for instance, one of the things that I did that first Thanksgiving was I was always in charge of like the table settings, like the decor. And so my poor extended family, I had already like divided Leaf's ashes up into several different things. Like my parents wanted them. We had two, Omri had one. So I went and gathered all those little mini urns and I literally made them the centerpiece, put fall leaves around them. And I'm like a few months out at this point. It never occurred to me like the extended family coming in was probably like, we're literally eating with dead people ashes on the table. But that's what I did. Like I made each centerpiece of the table. It centered around Leaf's little urns. And then our family has like this embroidered tablecloth where you do the signature and then somebody goes in and embroiders that. My mother had that. And I went ahead and signed Leaf's name for that year, for 2016, and I put angel wings around it so that his name would still be on the tablecloth year after year. We don't do that anymore. My traditions look completely different now because I don't live around my family anymore. But we're going to be talking about things like that, things like plating them food. Like I said, those first few years, I would plate Leaf a huge spread. I would put his picture on the pie table. He got to be the master of ceremonies for the desserts. Like I really, because it brought me so much peace to bring him in those ways that it allowed me to focus with him instead of on the without with him. And so we're going to be talking about ways to do that. There are other things you can do. You can do stuff in honor of your children. So like you see a family that is needing, maybe you buy them a turkey and you pay it forward in honor of your child, you know. So we're gonna have a discussion tomorrow morning, and I want you guys to be brainstorming tonight, things you've done, things you've considered doing, things maybe you've read about, and we'll share all those in the thread so that everybody can kind of, to, you know, just, it's like a big brainstorm, and you can pick out what you feel like would work for you and something you can try, you know. For those of you that aren't doing, I mean, I'm going to a restaurant on Thanksgiving. Like, I don't do the whole spread thing down here. We just go out to eat. But, you know, so Leaf's not even getting pie this year. But, you know, for those of you that aren't having big things, and if that's weighing heavily on you, that you're going to be, you know, by yourself on Thanksgiving, we want to start the shift that you're actually not by yourself. It's actually a day that you can now spend just with you and your child. So maybe you order in and you order their favorite food in too, and you feed their spirit that way. So let's brainstorm on that tomorrow together and pull ideas from each other, and see what you know, pick and choose and see what you would like to do. Again, if you don't want to do any of that, that's also fine. The thing of it is you do what's going to bring you peace, because write this down. Peace equals truth, right? Peace equals truth. Pain means you're separated from your truth. So, for instance, when Kathy said, Jules won't be in the pictures, that causes Kathy pain. She's separated from the truth, literally, that Jules showed her yesterday morning, that Jules will be in those pictures. Does that feel more peaceful when you say she will be in the pictures? Peace equals truth. It equals inner alignment. It remembering beyond this earthly 3D realm. So that's always going to be a key for you. You guys need to really hone that into your brain. And when you become self-aware of it and where you're at, you can say, oh, I'm in pain right now because I'm separated from my truth, right? So you get the melancholy, you get the weeps, go ahead and weep it out, weep it out. But then you have to be able to shift and say, wait a minute, I'm in pain because I'm separated from the truth of what my inner spirit knows, which is that they are not dead and gone. There has been no end. Everything continues. They're invisible superpowers, right? So that's what we're going to do for tomorrow. And then I do believe tomorrow night, I don't have the schedule up in front of me right now, but
It's
I think it's
Reiki with Stacy tomorrow
Reiki.
night.
Okay, cool. So Reiki with Stacy tomorrow night. And I think that's all we have this week, Kathy, isn't it?
Y'all can get bonus Elfie points if you copy and paste your gratitudes and affirmations from the healing Christmas group into the big group every day. And it's not a requirement, but we really, really suggest that everybody friends each other in this group. Ultimately, you will get a lot more out of the collective energy if you start to forge personal relationships with the other people in the group. And the ladies who have shown up for the first time, Angie, Kathy, Christine, Kim, Becky, y'all know you show up at Warrior Week and you're like, oh my God, and you can get that feeling in the group. So we really, really urge everybody to friend each other, send everybody friend requests. We get to know each other. And that also lets you kind of stalk people's profiles and see pictures of their kids, because we do a spirit gift exchange in this group where you're going to get someone else's name and their child is going to help you choose a gift for them. So it helps you hone that connection and awareness by getting to know the other person as well.
I will make a post regarding the kiddo gift exchange. And if you don't want to participate in that, you don't have to. But if you do want to, then I'm going to need you to comment, yes, I'm in, because that way I can then, you know, figure out who's matching with who's buying for who, and all of that. Okay. So that's something, it's a really super fun thing. And you're going to be really surprised at, like, I was like online shopping the other day for Christmas, and Sophie is apparently gonna make me spoil Kathy this year. Like, I don't ever get Kathy Christmas gift. And she was like, this and this and this. I'm like, okay. So you'll be surprised at how aware you come in, because I did not set the intention to go shopping with Sophie that day, but apparently that is what Sophie wanted to do. So we ended up shopping for Kathy. So they'll make themselves known, and you'll feel that nudge and that draw. And it's really a neat experience. It's a really, really neat experience. So that's exciting to do. So we're going to do that, and then we'll meet tomorrow night, and then it'll be Thanksgiving. Okay. So, and we'll figure that out. And in between there, Lauren, I'm having lunch with Bernie and Tony on Tuesday.
I know you're seeing them Tuesday. That's right.
Yeah, Tony, I'm trying to get him to play shuffleboard, because Tony always whips my ass at shuffleboard. So I've been practicing. Maybe I can beat him for once. But so that's what's going on, guys. I'm so glad you're with us. We're gonna do our closeout now. Every time we close, those of you that are new with us, Lauren, this is gonna get a little woo-woo, just so you know. When we close, Kathy always pulls an oracle card for the group. When Kathy pulls, she pulls intuitively. When I pull, I actually do it telepathically. I have a conversation with the archangels. She is very intuitive with it, and she connects in that way, and it always fits. So Kathy's going to pull the card. Then we are going to come together and do our closeout energy work, which is cord cutting, surrounding, protecting, and then calling our personal power back into our own body. So those of you that have not experienced that with me, trust me, it's going to feel weird the first time you do it. But, like Angie, did it not feel like you were doing the weirdest stuff the first time? And now you're like, okay, it's time for the closeout. And now it's just very natural to do. So I urge you to participate in that with us, and to start doing it on your own daily as well. Put it as part of your morning ritual, and it really will help you stay centered and balanced. And I want you to take note, when we do that close, I want you to check in with your body afterwards and see if you feel a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit more centered, even just a smidge. Like, I know after I do it, especially in the collective energy of the group, usually like I'll be almost amped up after it, because my body's got all its power back. And I like, especially when we do like 6:30 classes and we don't get out till 8:30, I'm like, damn it, I'm not going to bed till 2 a.m. now, because I'll just be like, I can feel the energy just moving through me. So look for those types of shifts and see if you're having them, because you have to look at your measured progress, and you have to be aware of how your body's physically feeling, your mind and your heart, and how they're all physically feeling, because that's what's going to let you know that you're on the right path. Okay. So go ahead, Kath.
Okay, today, just to get us started, I'm going to draw from a deck called Whispers of Healing. And once I do the draw, then I'll post an image of the card and the text that goes along with it in the group, so you guys can see. And the card for today, let me turn off my little blur thingy got going on here. Okay, the card for today is self-love. Oh, that won't focus very well, will it? Sorry, it's like a mermaid girl. Okay, self-love is the card. And for those of you like me who are sometimes numerically minded, it's card number 16 out of this deck. And if you're just getting started, if you just want to get a start with oracle cards, I highly recommend this deck. It's called Whispers of Healing. It's a really great deck for the healing process. It was one of the first decks I bought. So this card says, you might be feeling downhearted or melancholy because you haven't fully grasped how to appreciate who you are. The ability to truly love yourself complements your capacity to fall in love with others and the world as a whole. Self-love means acknowledging the light within yourself. You are a sacred part of the mystery and miracle of life. Perhaps you have struggled to rally esteem, respect, or love for who you are. Maybe you are looking outside of yourself for validation. You may expect friends, family, a partner, coworkers, or your bank account to provide you with your sense of worth. This expectation leads to illusion. The truth of who you are is inside you always. You are unique, you have your own process, and you need to be yourself. Quiet your mind and go within to find your self-esteem, awareness, and inner peace. As you learn to extend the quiet periods in your mind, you will begin to be more in your heart, where you will recognize truth, intuition, and acceptance. This maiden hugs herself as an act of self-love. Her nakedness emphasizes her vulnerability in the process she is going through. The stag supports time taken alone. The lionfish encourages you to face your inner demons. With the help of the lionfish, you can stand strong and face whatever you might have been hiding from, working on loving yourself a little more each day. You deserve to love yourself more. So I think that really fits because especially the melancholy and grasping who we are now as opposed to who we were before our children transitioned. And it can be a really big struggle in healing to accept that you're different now. You're different. You're different to yourself. You're different to your family. You're different to your friends. You're different to the world at large. So I think that card, even though it doesn't on its face seem appropriate, I think it really is fitting.
Yeah, I think it is too. All right, thanks, Kath. Another thing before we close out, I've already went in and posted a comment, a thread, whatever it's called, for Zoom takeaways. So anytime we meet like this, and it's not like a medium reading or it's not a specialty thing, but after coaching Zooms where we've come together for discussion, I always ask you guys to comment under those posts what you took away, because if Christine pulled something out from today that maybe Patty didn't hear or didn't resonate, then Patty can then read what Christine wrote and be like, oh yeah. So that really helps reinforce what everybody's pulling out, and it offers a collective energy of sharing the healing in that way. So if you guys will go in as soon as we close out here and go into the group, the Healing, Hope, and Holidays group, it's a purple post and it says post your Zoom 1 takeaways below. If you will post those below, that would be great. If you're like, I didn't really take anything away from it today, that's okay too. But if you pulled out even one thing, that would be fabulous to share with everybody. It also lets Kathy and I know that we're on the right track with where discussion is flowing. And it is inspiring to us to see if it's helping. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, everybody take a nice big deep breath and relax. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to visualize and repeat after me. Archangel Michael.
Archangel Michael.
Archangel Azrael.
Archangel Azrael.
Please come down.
Please come down.
And cut all energetic cords.
And cut all energetic cords.
That feed my ego.
That feed my ego.
That drain me.
That drain me.
That feed me negativity.
That feed me negativity.
And that do not serve my healing and my highest purpose.
And that do not serve my healing and my highest purpose.
Please surround and protect me.
Please surround and protect me.
In divine white light.
In divine white light.
Thank you, and so it is.
Thank you, and so it is.
Okay, get those hands moving, get some energy moving through your hands. Spirit hands, spirit hands. All right, palms up, eyes closed. I want you to visualize with me, and I want you to say, I call all of my divine power back to me now.
I call all of my divine power back to me now.
I want you to visualize beams of light coming in from each other, coming in from all over the world. If you've been online, anybody you've been in contact with, spoken with, passed by, those beams of light are coming together to converge into the palms of your hands. As they meet there, they melt into liquid light. You may start to feel warmth in the palms as that liquid light spreads through each finger. Take note of the color as it moves its way down into the wrists, feeling the body as it moves down the arms into the elbows. You may get flushed as the light moves up into your upper arms, into your shoulder area, feeling the cavity of the body as it comes into the chest. Deep breath in. Slowly it moves and fills up the neck into the head space, filling up to the lips, to the nose, to the eyes, to the tip of the head. Opening the crown chakra, opening the third eye. Take note of the color as it moves its way back down into the chest area. Opening the heart space. Releasing tension in the shoulders as it moves down through the lower chest, upper abdomen, lighting chakras along the way, releasing information, any dis-ease as it moves down further towards the belly button, into the lower abdomen. Feel the warmth of it as it spreads through the hips, releasing any energy there, stagnant grief energy. It moves into the upper legs, down to the knees. Like liquid lava, it flows to the lower legs, into the calves. Deep breath in. It moves into the ankles, into the feet, and it spreads to the very tip of every single toe. I want you to step out of your body and turn and look and see it glowing with the power and the energy of your divine right, your divine power. Deep breath in. Step back into your body. Feel the energy, see the energy, and then say thank you, and so it is. All right. Okay, ladies, it's fabulous spending the afternoon with you. Go do your Zoom takeaways, and we will see you guys tomorrow night for some Reiki.
Perfect.
Thank you all.
All right.
Good to
Thank
see ya.
you.
See you,
Good to see
ladies.
you guys
Bye,
soon.
guys.
Tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.